Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first meeting of the Joint Conference Committee on Education for the 2021-22 budget. I'm happy to be joined today with my co-chair, Senator Shelley Mayer. Shelley, you have people who you like to introduce?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, from the Senate, I'm joined by Senator John Liu, Senator Sean Ryan, Senator Toby Ann Stavisky, our ranking member, Senator James Tedisco, and as alternates for the majority, Senator John Mannion, and for the minority, Senator Daphne Jordan. We will have a chance to make opening remarks, but let me turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate that. And I'm happy to announce that I have been joined with my fellow colleagues, Assemblywoman Vivian Cook, Assemblywoman Patricia Fahey, Assemblywoman Kimberly Jean-Pierre, and Assembly members Nada Sage and Amanda Septimo are our alternates. Also, additionally, I'm very proud to mention that we're here today by my former ranking member, Mary Beth Walsh. She's joining us from the Assembly Minority Conference, and with my current ranking member, Assembly member Doug Smith, serving as alternates. And by the way, the Assembly has designated Hannah Gutierrez as our recording secretary for the meetings that we're having. Shelley, do you want to get us going on what we have proposed for the budget, or maybe it's time to maybe some of your members want to say something?
Yes, one, I would like to say that the Senate has designated Michael Swanson as our secretary for the purpose of taking minutes. We can have brief opening remarks. I would ask that members keep them brief. I will start off basically by just saying that the Senate Majority's One House resolution has a substantial increase in funding for education, an overall state aid increase of 1.8 billion and a federal funds increase of 3.85 billion for a total education add of 5.7 billion. A commitment to fully funding foundation aid over a 3-year period where every district will receive at least 60% this current year. Adding 500 million for full day pre-K outside the city of New York, and a number of other issues that reflect our commitment that the additional federal funds we are fortunate to receive as a result of COVID will be used to supplement and not supplant the state's ongoing constitutional obligation to fully fund the operations of our schools and to ensure that every child receives a sound basic education. I won't go into detail. I think the Senate and Assembly have some modest differences in our One House proposals. I look forward to working collaboratively with all my colleagues to find a resolution. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, this is, at least to my mind, a historic budget proposal that we have put forward. And let me mention some of the things that we have done in the Assembly budget. Increasing state funding school aid by $3 billion for a total of $29 billion. Increasing foundation aid, as you said, by a $1.4 billion for a total of $19.8 billion. And again, a commitment to fully fund foundation aid over the next 3 years. We were rejecting the executive proposals to consolidate 11 expense-based aid categories. We're increasing funding for universal pre-K, $40 million. And we're expanding the executive proposals to make transportation costs related to delivering food and educational materials during the pandemic months, reimbursable to the district's transportation departments. There are many other things here. We'll get through them during the course of the budget. We do have some differences, but they're very small, and I don't see us having too much of difficulty coming up with a splendid final budget. At this point, Senator, maybe I'll bring it back to you and see if some of your members would like to say a few words.
So if you don't mind, Senator John Liu, no, he's waving his hand, no, but the chair of the subcommittee on New York City schools, which we have in the Senate, I would ask him to say a brief remarks, and then we'll continue to go down the path.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'll be very brief. I just want to say thank you for your steadfast leadership on securing funding for our schools, funding that every school child in the state of New York must have, funding that, quite frankly, was obligated to us by the courts. And now, after over a dozen years, we are making a firm commitment to finally fulfilling this pledge, this requirement over the next 3 years with a big down payment this year. And I think more importantly, having the revenues, the ongoing revenues, to make sure that we follow through in the second and third years to fully fund the foundation aid shortfall. And of course, that revenue is largely generated from the highest income New Yorkers, those who make over $1 million a year or more. So the combination of the funding and our commitment to funding our public schools in New York is really going to be what's needed to bring our state into the future. Thanks to you, Madam Chair, and to Chair Benedetto.
Thank you, Senator Liu. Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Fine, and I'll begin going through the good colleagues on my side of the fence here. We'll begin with Vivian Cook. Vivian, are you out there, and do you want to say anything? You don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, I don't see Vivian, but you know what? I'm kind of positive that maybe Pat Fahey might have something very brief to say. Very brief, Pat.
Okay, for once I didn't have my hand up. And you call on me anyway. There you go. Okay, Mike, I'm not going to miss that opportunity. Thank you, Chair. And great to see everybody. Great to be a part of this. It is my first time being a part of this conference, so I'm honored to. And I want to add just a shout out to the Biden administration and to Congress and our leadership there for really helping this year. While we are asking those who earn more to do more, to help us address this foundation aid and a number of the gaps that we have had. I also think this federal aid has been just a godsend and will go a long way toward addressing so many funding inequities that we've all talked about for many, many years. So that's great. And by the way, I think it's the other good news this last week is Dr. Fauci coming out in the media and saying the 3-foot social distancing is no real substantial difference, I think, is what he said in terms of infection rates. And I'm hoping that what that means is that we will see even more of our schools able to open to families who would like their children in school. So I think it's been a week or so of good news on the education front, and I very much appreciate the leadership and hope that this leads to at least getting our schools fully opened for the families who'd like to be in them by the fourth quarter. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Pat, and your hope is our hope as well. Senator, on your side.
Yes, well, I'll ask Senator Toby Ann Stavisky, Chair of the Senate Higher Education Committee, if she wants to say a few words.
Well, thank you, both chairs. And yes, I think it's appropriate that higher education be represented, because education should really be one seamless path between pre-K and postgraduate. And I congratulate the Assembly and the Senate. I know we're close, and I think better days are ahead for the school children and the young adults in our system. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Stavisky.
Vivian Cook, I see that you're on here now. Do you want to say anything? Don't feel obligated. Then I'll go on to see if Kimberly Jean-Pierre wants to say anything today.
Sure, I just want to join my colleagues in both houses to congratulate both Madam Chair and Mr. Chair on this great work. I'm chair of libraries, and libraries have been the foundation of our communities. We've seen how important libraries are during this pandemic. So I know that New York is going to get its fair share. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Senator?
Thank you. Senator Sean Ryan is chair of the Senate Libraries Committee. Senator Ryan.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This is a very, very strong budget that really takes care of the educational needs of New Yorkers, starting in pre-K and going all the way up through college. I would steal Chair Benedetto's language to say it is a splendid package for education. I'm happy to be part of it. I'm happy to work with my Assembly counterpart library chairs, Kimberly St. Pierre, on this. Just good news for libraries in addition to other parts of the office. So thank you, everybody.
Before I go into the Assembly alternates on our side, we will go to Ranka Mary Beth Walsh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Di Benedetto. Or Benedetto, sorry. What did I say? Di Benedetto. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
It's a pleasure to be here with my colleagues today. On where our conference is, so I've looked at the governor's proposal, the Senate and Assembly One House proposals, and I really believe that if you take a look at the federal funding, the infusion of the federal funding, and the better financial picture that we appear to be in, even since the governor released his budget proposal initially in January, being up on a 2-year basis, 5.7 billion from when the governor introduced his budget in mid-January as far as revenue projections. I don't have any doubt that our schools in New York State are going to be on a path to receiving adequate education funding for the upcoming school year. And that's a great relief. I congratulate both the Assembly and Senate in their work on their One House budgets. They seem substantially similar to each other, but very different from the governor's proposals. Our conference does have concerns with several aspects of the governor's proposals, which have been addressed and I believe corrected in the Assembly and Senate One House proposals. I think that first of all, and I guess the most important thing from our perspective is that there should not be state aid cuts. The governor's cuts are not appropriate. And, I guess because we don't have anybody specifically here for libraries, I would also throw into that the governor's proposal included a 7.5% reduction to library aid, which I'm glad to see was restored in the Assembly and Senate One Houses. So, we have concerns about in terms of what should be prioritized in the next few weeks in the budget process. And if I could just run through those very quickly, I won't take up a lot of time. I know we have other people who'd like to speak, but we'd like to see that additional support is provided to our State Special Act 853 and 4410 schools by providing growth to their tuition rates on a par with our investment in school aid. We'd like to expand access to investing more in career-ready education programs. We'd like to provide support and resources to give our schools flexibility to handle the growing mental health issues that we've particularly seen during the COVID pandemic. And as far as the governor's proposals, I think just reiterating what Chairman Benedetto said in his remarks, I would just echo that the consolidation of the expense-based aid categories into one aid category that the governor seems to do every single year in his budget proposal is just wrong. And I'm just so grateful that in the One House budget plans, that's been rejected again. I just think that it's a bad idea. It's been a bad idea for years, and yet it continues to be put forward by the governor. The governor's proposal to allow schools to submit waivers for special education requirements, I think, is a very poor idea. I think that it would prevent our most vulnerable students from receiving an adequate education. And I guess that's about it for right now. I don't want to go on too long, but overall, I think that the One House budgets are much more in keeping with what our conference believes the correct priorities should be. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Back to you, Senator.
Senator Tedisco?
Thank you, Senator, very much. As you probably know, I've had a lot of roles over my tenure here in the New York State Legislature,
Yes.
but I've never been a ranker on the Education Committee, and I'm honored to take that position along with you. But I do have some experience because I like to say, as you know, tongue in cheek, I had a real job at one time. I was an educator for 10 years. I know a little bit about what goes on in a classroom, a little bit about standardized tests. I know kids aren't standardized. I know it was a bad idea to have teachers teaching to a test. And that's another story for another day. But I also know about Willie Sutton. And you probably all remember Willie Sutton. He's the man who used to rob banks. And when they said to Willie Sutton, Willie, why do you rob the banks? Of course, you know what he said. That's where the money is. Well, governors, not only this governor, but every governor I've ever served with, and believe it or not, I've served with 5 different governors. I've been here since Cuomo, Mario, to the new Cuomo, Andrew. And they're kind of the Willie Suttons of stealing money from education. So we saw what the governor did on his budget, kind of lowballed it. And our job has always been historically to put money back into the budget because we interact with our constituents and we know every time we talk to them, they see education as one of the top priorities. They don't mind us spending money. They just want to see some pretty good test scores and some pretty good graduation rates. $29.5 billion is a pretty good amount of money holistically. 1.4 billion foundation aid. It's not walking the walk. I know there's been a lot of talking about we're going to get full foundation. Well, it's not full foundation aid. 3-year plan. I hope we can make that. I have 2 concerns about 1.4 billion in this budget and what's happened in the past. You probably know that in 2019, where we had a new regime take over both houses in the governor's mansion, I think 1.2 was the one house budget for foundation funding. We ended up $618 million, less than half of what was put in the initial budget. Last year, the governor, last year, no increase whatsoever, flat on foundation aid. This year, $1.24 billion. Very good amount. I'd like to see that hold up. My concern is that we don't collapse in the negotiations, that we stick to our guns, and we do have a foundation aid level at 1.4, and we do have that foundation full funding for 3 years, because I have supported full funding for years. Here's my second concern. I think there's, as you mentioned, a lot of money from the $12.9 billion stimulus funding we've got from the federal government. And I know a lot of that has been called supplemental money instead of supplanting money. My concern is that at one point, not too far back, we had a real huge gap because we did some things to create that gap. It took us 5 years to close that. I hope when we're funding programs and we call it supplemental, that in the ensuing years, we really have the money to continue those programs. Because there's nothing like putting money into the budget, building in new programs, important programs, programs that we all support, and then going back to the schools. I mean, the governor talked about 20% cuts, and a lot of my school districts actually made 20% cuts. They laid off workers, which now they're bringing back because those didn't come to fruition. So I'm really hopeful that this is supplemental money and that the funding will be there for future of the programs that we helped school districts put in place. But the size of the foundation aid is a good amount. I hope we can get to the point where it's full, and 29.5 billion is a good amount also. So I look forward to having those numbers hold up through the negotiations with our present governor. And I'm not just blaming him for being Willie Sutton. all the governors seem to be Willie Sutton trying to lowball, and they leave it to us to really bring that money back so we can get those important programs. I thank you.
Thank you,
Leave.
Senator Tedesco.
Good. I'll go to my alternates. Mr. Nada Sage and Miss Amanda Septimo, if you would say a few words.
Sure. Thank you very much, Chairman. I'd like, first of all, thank you on behalf of the Assembly and Senator Shelley Mayer. You know, we have two strong advocates fighting for us. And education, as you know, is really crucial for me. It's my lifelong commitment, spent over 45 years as an educator at all levels. So for me, inequity in education, making sure we have proper funding is crucial. And I've often spoke about the need potentially, especially in many urban school districts with high special ed and English language learners, to really begin at some point to focus about making the playing field fair when it comes to funding those urban school districts, Yonkers included. So I gotta say, you know, I was more happier with the Senate version that includes $12 million for Yonkers, and from our end, it was zero. And Yonkers, unlike most districts across the state, because of prior issues involving integration and a lot of other factors and inequitable funding, really continues to beg year after year. So my hope is, you know, with the support of federal resources and expanded state funding, we're on the right track. But one gap here, honestly, is the Yonkers situation. So if we can begin to work hand in hand with the Senate version and support what I know my colleague, Senator Shelley Mayer, is well aware of the needs in Yonkers, that would be most appreciated.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Amanda?
Yes, hi. First, thank you so much. I'm so pleased to be part of this. This is obviously my first time, and it's really exciting to be here with you all. So thank you to both chairs for all of the work that you've done to get us to this point. I want to echo so many sentiments that have been mentioned about how this budget really does do such an incredible job to stake out, I think, the positions of our priorities and how we're going to be prioritizing parity throughout the system, not only through funding, but I hope that we will also consider it through transparency, through accountability, moving forward beyond the budget. And I'm looking forward to working with all of you on that. And I want to echo Senator Tedesco's point that I hope that when we move through negotiations, we are able to come out of them with an equally strong statement of values and priorities that is reflected in funding, because you all have done such an incredible job to get us where we're going on foundation aid and on so many important issues. And I'm looking forward to celebrating what I know will be an incredible budget when it's done. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Senator?
Thank you. Senator Mannion, are you still with us? I think he was driving. And Senator Jordan, our two alternates. I think they are not present. So, Mr. Chairman.
We still have one more to go.
Oh, you do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And that is, and he, you know, I'm going to call you the caboose, Doug Smith.
Yes.
Okay, Assemblyman, you want to say a few quick words?
I've been called worse. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for everyone as part of this this committee and this discussion today. I think that as someone who previously was an educator and now honored to be the ranking member of the Education Committee in the Assembly, I think this budget has been a very good way for us to show support of education in the Assembly and Senate one House budgets, basically showing a level of financial support of what we should be doing for our schools. And I think education is less of a partisan issue than many other topics that we as the Assembly and the Senate take up on a daily basis. But I think that just shows the continued support. So I was very happy this year in light of the COVID pandemic that the financial situation for our state appeared to be a little bit better than we had all anticipated. The revenues are up more than we could have foreseen. And the fact that the federal government did their jobs, and this is something that I know probably all of us have been speaking over the last several months in our districts, People have called it a bailout across the country, but I don't call it a bailout of New York. I call it a refund for New York because we contribute so significantly to the federal government year in and year out. And we were hit hardest and we were hit first during this pandemic. So I'm very happy to see a significant investment in education. We still have the greatest education system in the state of New York. We have the best teachers and support staff. So with that said, the $9 billion, I think, from the federal government, in addition, the additional revenue is very helpful to us. Just to reiterate what Mary Beth Walsh, my colleague, had said, a few things that we're cognizant of, and I think our colleagues on both sides of the aisle and both houses are cognizant for helping those special act schools. I know Cleary School for the Deaf is near and dear to my heart, as it's very close to my district. They do a phenomenal job here on Long Island. Expanding access for college and career ready, where we can actually continue to support our schools, our great BOCES programs, and link up with the trades and link up with union apprenticeship programs. I know I've seen some great collaboration there on Long Island and across the state. I think that's something we need to continue to invest in. And as well as support for mental health services. Every school, if you ask them, they always say, if I had additional money, what would I spend it on? Mental health services. So ensuring that we can have not just guidance counselors, but social workers, psychologists in more buildings. I think that's something that's always a priority. And I think I'm speaking to the choir, but I know in state government, every one of our colleagues has expressed that as something that they're interested in supporting. And I'm happy that the Assembly and Senate one House budgets did reject the governor's proposed cut to school aid. I know it's a dance we have every year. I know in our districts, every time I get a new superintendent in my area, they see those first school aid runs and they panic. And we have to unfortunately go to them and tell them, you know, this is a game of chess, and the governor comes out and threatens the school in order to pressure us to do the right thing. I'm very happy that year in and year out, we've done the right thing. And I think that will continue this year. The consolidation of the school expense-based aids, I'm glad that we've rejected that as well. And I think years to come, we'll continue to reject that because it makes no sense. And if nothing else, maybe in the future, we should consider adding additional expense-based aids, maybe for security, maybe for mental health. That's a conversation for another day. The proposal for the waivers for special education requirements, I think families are, a little bit concerned about that. While we're cognizant that our students maybe should be protected from a lot of these high stakes tests, we do want to make sure that we're providing them the support that they're entitled to under the law. And finally, the fact that we're restoring cuts to library aid. Every single one of my colleagues have mentioned how important libraries are, especially during the pandemic, loaning out the portable Wi-Fi devices, the hotspots, and really working in new ways than we've ever seen before. So I apologize. I think I probably spent more time talking than anyone as the alternate to the minority, but I appreciate what we're doing today. And I would just like to reiterate that support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, my colleagues.
Senator, I think you have somebody else. on.
Senator Mannion is back driving to Syracuse, it looks like. So Senator. You're muted, Senator Mannion. You're muted. You're muted still. You can't help you.
No.
Can't fix it.
Okay.
So on
Do
behalf
you
of
know
Senator-
how to sign?
some people know how to sign who are among us, but Senator Mannion is our alternate from the majority conference, former teacher, and I appreciate his presence here today. So with that, as everyone, I think of the members except for Assemblywoman Cook, anyone who Assemblywoman, should we move on, or does Assemblywoman Cook want to say something?
No. Vivian, did you still want to say something? Vivian has always been a lady who is a lady of few words, but when she speaks, she's listened to. So thank you. I don't have anything more. Do you have anything else, Shelley?
Yes, I just want to acknowledge to those who are listening where we are in this process. The agencies that are under consideration for this conference committee are the funding levels for the State Education Department and Education Aid. Those two issues are still open. That means they will be resolved over time, over the next period of time as we continue to meet. And all Article 7 proposals, that is the policy proposals in both the Senate and Assembly, one House budgets are still being negotiated and are considered open. So as we continue to meet, we will begin to resolve these outstanding issues between the Senate and Assembly One House resolutions. I'm pleased to see there's such consensus among those participating here today. And unless there are people who have additional statements, Mr. Chairman, I think we're towards the end.
I think we are at the end of this first meeting of the Educational Conference Committee, and we will reconvene again at the call of the General Conference Committee. So until then, I say goodnight to everybody.
Thank you all.
Happy St. Pat's.
Senator,
Happy
thank you.
Pat. Happy St. Pat.
Happy St. Pat.
St. Pat's.